Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Thursday, so we're doing 13 things on Thursday, as well as the general news that's been going on, some big news is going on, and some really tiny taco news. Let's go ahead and start our headlines. Today on Before Coffee. Massive international police operation takes down ransomware networks and arrests 4 suspects.
And move over Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb. Josh Gibson is a new career leader in just about everything, as the Negro League statistics are adopted by Major League Baseball.
Coming out of the EU, quarter of political donations go to extremist and populist parties, data reveals.
And on Thursday 13, we look at countries that are losing population.
A tiny taco stand in Mexico City is the first to win a Michelin star.
Those stories and more, which is National Hole in My Bucket Day, May 30th, 2024, on Before Coffee.
Okay, let's look at our first news story, which is a huge police operation. This is from Mike Corder on AP News. Last updated, today at 10 a.m. Coming out of The Hague, Netherlands, police coordinated by the European Union's justice and police agencies have taken down computer networks responsible for spreading ransomware via infected emails in what they called the biggest ever international operation against lucrative form of cybercrime. The European Union's Judicial Cooperation Agency, Eurojust, said Thursday that police arrested 4 high-value suspects, took down more than 100 servers, and seized control of over 2,000 internet domains. A huge takedown this week, codenamed Endgame, involved coordinated action in Germany, the Netherlands, France, Denmark, Ukraine, the United States, and the United Kingdom, Eurojust said. Also, 3 suspects were arrested in Ukraine and 1 in Armenia. Searches were carried out in Ukraine, Portugal, the Netherlands, and Armenia, EU police agency Europol added. In its latest international operation aimed at disrupting malware and ransomware operations, followed a massive takedown in 2021 at a botnet called Emotet, Eurojust said. A botnet is a network of hijacked computers typically used for malicious activities. Europol pledged it would not be the last takedown. Operation Endgame does not end today. New actions will be announced on the website Operation Endgame, Europol said in a statement. I love people who make operation names because they try to make it as hype as possible. It's the end game against cybercrime. Dutch police said that the financial damage inflicted by the network on governments, companies, and individual users is estimated to run to hundreds of millions of euros. Millions of people are also victims because their systems were infected, making them part of these botnets, the Dutch statements said. Eurojust said that one of the main suspects earned cryptocurrency worth at least 69 million euros, or $74 million, by renting out criminal infrastructure for spreading ransomware. The suspects' transactions are constantly being monitored, and legal permission to seize these assets upon future actions has already been obtained, EU police agency Europol added. The operation targeted malware droppers called Iced ID, Picabot, Smoke Loader, Bumblebee, and TrickBot. A dropper is malicious software usually spread in emails containing infected links or attachments such as a shipping invoice or order forms. This approach had a global impact on the dropper ecosystems, Europol said. The malware, whose infrastructure was taken down during the action days, facilitated attacks with ransomware and other malicious software. Dutch police cautioned that the action should alert cybercriminals that they can be caught. This operation shows that you always leave tracks. Nobody is unfindable, even online, Stan Douwf of the Dutch National Police said in a video statement. The deputy head of Germany's Federal Criminal Police Office, Martina Link, described the biggest international cyber police operation so far. Thanks to the intensive international cooperation, it was possible to render 6 of the biggest malware families harmless, she said in a statement. German authorities are seeking the arrest of 7 people on suspicions of being members of criminal organization whose aim was to spread the TrickBot malware. An 8th person is suspected of being one of the ringleaders of the group behind SmokeLoader. Europol said it was adding the 8 suspects being sought by Germany to its most wanted list. So, watch out, cyber villains. They're coming for you. At least some of you. I'm sure the hackers in China and most of Asia are gonna have to deal with another secret. I'm sure there's like a global operation happening. There's no way. Like, let's do it all together. Just this once to take down all the ransomware. If anyone doesn't know what ransomware is, it's kind of in the name. They hack your computer. They control all of it, and then they say, if you don't pay us $100 or $1,000 or something, you don't get your computer back.
Right.
And really, the only thing you can do then, sometimes I think they can even take control of your email and stuff like that. Sometimes the only thing you can do then is reset your whole computer, and maybe check out your network security and don't get socially engineered. One of the strongest hacking methods is just somebody being friendly enough or annoying enough that you just give them the information they want and then they hack you. So watch out for those emails. If you don't recognize the sender, just delete it. Don't even open it. And if you make a mistake, whoever contacted you will probably try contacting you again. But
the post office has never sent me an email, so that's always the fun ones. Or your Netflix account has been canceled. I'm like, so? I don't care. Cancel it. Delete.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Ransomware. A lot of government agencies get ransomware, and you never find out because they'll never do it, right? Because if you pay ransom, then you're going to get ransomware again, right? These guys are easy. So they never admit it. And meanwhile, the government agency doesn't work anymore, and you don't know why, and they'll never admit why. This happened with the DMV a couple of years ago in Maryland. They were screwing up everybody's stuff, and they had to give everybody extra time for they said, we have a computer problem. We're going to give everybody extra time for their renewals. But in actuality, they were hacked. They didn't want to admit it. There's no way for me to prove that, but that's what happened. Nobody has computer problems for 3 months. You just buy new computers,
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube that can teach you how to protect yourself from social engineering and other network-based security.
Yeah, so they'll hire the FBI and have them go after these people, but in eventuality, they end up paying it. I think almost always, or they have to reinvent their whole new system. That's all their data is lost. Okay,
that's the story.
On to some good news. It actually broke yesterday, and Good News Day was Tuesday, but we couldn't wait. But anyway, so this is from CBSSports.com. Major League Baseball adds Negro League stats to record books, making Josh Gibson all-time leader in batting average, and more. This is Mike Axissa. Major League Baseball has officially incorporated Negro League statistics into Major League record, the league announced Wednesday. MLB elevated Negro Leagues to Major League status in 2020 and recognized the statistics and records of approximately 3,400 players who played in the Negro Leagues between 1920 and 1948. Now they are part of the official record. We are proud that the official historical record now includes the players of the Negro Leagues, Commissioner Rob Manfred said in a statement. The initiative is focused on ensuring that future generations of fans have access to the statistics and milestones of all those who made the Negro Leagues possible. Their accomplishments on the field will be a great gateway to broader learning about this triumph of American history and the path that led to Jackie Robinson's 1947 debut. 7 leagues comprised the Negro Leagues between 1920 and 1948. The Negro National League, the Eastern Colored League, American Negro League, East-West League, the Negro Southern League, the Negro National League, and the Negro American League.
That's so many leagues.
Well, they weren't allowed to play in the major leagues, and there were a lot of white minor leagues too. Don't forget that.
Oh, okay.
There were just a lot of people love playing baseball, so you just can't get around it. Experts estimate record. Don't forget there was a women's league during World War II.
Yeah, of course.
Famously from that
League
movie,
of
League of
Their
Their Own. It actually continued, but it just lost popularity when then it folded. Experts estimated records from these leagues are 75% complete. As of Wednesday's integration, Negro Leagues legend Josh Gibson is now baseball's all-time leader in batting average, with 372 beating out Ty Cobb's 366. In slugging percentage, 718 beating out Babe Ruth's 690. And OPS, which is on base and slugging percentage, basically combined, which is Josh Gibson's is 1.177, beating out Ruth's 1.164. Gibson is also the new single season leader in those categories. New single season leading board is Josh Gibson leading in all those categories. And you got people like Charlie Smith, who's second in batting average. Mule Studdles is second in slugging percentage. Josh Gibson also has the first and second best seasons in OPS history. And third is Barry Bonds. Shortened Negro League schedules, interspersed with revenue-raising exhibition games, were born of MLB's exclusionary practices. John Thorne, MLB's official historian, said in a statement, to deny the best black players of the era their rightful place among all-time leaders would be a double penalty. Gibson played for three Negro League teams, Memphis Red Sox, Pittsburgh Crawfords, and the Homestead Grays, from 1930 to 1946, and finished his career with a 372 average, 458 450 on base, and 718 slugging hitter with 166 home runs in 602 games. He was a 12-time All-Star and was widely considered one of the greatest catchers in the history of the game. This is a historical moment for the game of baseball. All these great players will forever be recognized within Major League Baseball's official records. Congratulations to all of those great players, especially Pittsburgh's own Josh Gibson. Pirates chairman Bob Nutting said in a statement, the Pittsburgh Crawfords and the Homestead Grays are an important part of the rich history of baseball in Pittsburgh. The Pirates have long celebrated these great teams as players such as Josh Gibson, Ray Brown, Oscar Charleston, Buck Leonard, and so many others for their tremendous accomplishment. Whether it's in our Pirates Hall of Fame, the large baseballs on the Riverwalk, the Crawfords and the Grays championship banners, the many other displays throughout PNC Park, our support of educational displays and programs within our community, we are proud to continue to share the stories of these great players for generations to come. In 1972, Gibson became the second Negro League's player inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, joining Satchel Paige. Paige was inducted in 1971, including managers and executives. There are now 37 Negro Leaguers in the Hall of Fame. When you hear Josh Gibson's name now, it's not just that he was the greatest player in Negro Leagues, but one of the greatest of all time. These aren't just Negro League stats, they're Major League stats. Sean Gibson, Josh's great-grandson, told the USA Today, this means so much not only for Josh Gibson's family, but representing the 2,300 men in the Negro Leagues who didn't get the opportunity to play in Major League Baseball. Kennesaw Mountain Landis was stripped from the MVP trophy after the 2020, after several Hall of Famers, including Barry Larkin and Mike Schmidt, voiced their discomfort. Landis, baseball's first commissioner, played a role in keeping baseballs segregated during his time as commissioner, 1920 to 1944. Gibson's family hopes the MVP award will be renamed in his honor. How ironic it would be for Josh Gibson to replace the man who denied more than 2,300 men the opportunity to play baseball in the major leagues. Sean Gibson told USA Today, I'm hoping that with these stats that we can change it to the Josh Gibson MVP award. These stats make it a great case for it to be named in his honor. The Negro Leagues existed out of necessity, stemming from MLB's racist and exclusionary practices that barred black players from competing in integrated leagues for more than 50 years. Well, that kind of goes without saying. They put that at the end, I guess, to link you to another article. MLB celebrated its 100th anniversary of Negro Leagues during the 2020 season with a league-wide celebration taking place on August 16th. So there's your good news story. Good news for Josh Gibson. I don't see a whole lot of people mad about this. I know Major League Baseball is trying to get more African Americans involved in baseball. This is probably a step towards that, I would guess. The cynical part of me says that. This is done because I believe the participation in Major League Baseball by African Americans, I mean, black people from this country, not there's plenty of people from color from all over the world.
Caribbean or anything like that, yeah.
No. Yeah, it would be from the Caribbean, if anything. It would be from places like, South America and, Dominican Republic, Cuba. There's plenty of black people in Major League Baseball, but African Americans, I think, is like 6%, which is like all-time low since the 60s or the 50s, maybe. Because I guess the kids aren't playing baseball. So I think Major League Baseball is just trying to broaden its appeal. That's what it is. And it's long overdue. Of course, the records are so hard to obtain, I guess is a legitimate excuse. I mean, you can't really, they didn't have rigid schedules. They didn't have rigid, lineups.
Drug rules.
A guy would pitch, Satchel Paige probably pitched 5 times a week, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they had the same rules. I'm saying they had the same rules. They just didn't have schedules. They played barnstorming. They would go play white teams. They would go play whoever, right? So, But again, the records of the white players are also skewed because what? They didn't have to play against the best players, right? Half of the best players were excluded from baseball, right? At least half. Who knows? So you never had to face those players. So the white players probably had better stats from the weekend competition too. So put all the records in there. The thing about baseball, all the stadiums are different sizes. So, a home run in one stadium is not a home run in another stadium. So if it's harder to hit, your pitcher stats are going to be better. So yeah, baseball, they don't even have a standard field. So having all these records excluding for other reasons is kind of silly. I think the main reason was they just couldn't locate all the records quickly. Or they would have done it 5 years ago. All right, back to you.
Well, yeah, and they didn't even do it during Black History Month, but I guess gives them some extra points because it's so easy to pass something like this because it was, it's Black History Month. Let's recognize black people exist.
You got to do it during the season so people go at the games. They go, let's go to a baseball game today. Hey, everybody, that's a baseball game.
I'm sure they've been working on it. I have no idea. But whatever. Here's your little gold trophy for doing the bare minimum, I guess. You recognize other people than white people exist. Whoa, yay!
Hats off to Rob Manfred. He didn't have to do this, right?
Yeah. Anyway. He didn't have to be a decent
he didn't have to.
Being.
He wasn't commissioner until a few years ago.
It's not his fault.
You can't blame the guy who did it. Yeah, right? He wasn't even born.
I don't have a good segue from 40s, this story. Yeah. So let's talk about extremist and populist parties in the EU, which I love talking about because I genuinely do not think they recognize the actual feelings of the people living here. They are what the word says, extremist and populist. So they just have a loud minority of extreme believers that make you think that it's really important what they're talking about matters. This is from Carmen Aguilar Garcia on The Guardian. A quarter of all private money donated to political parties in the EU is going to the far right, far left, and populist movements. So that's private money donated, right? Not any public donations, but actual, hey, Mr. Rich Guy, give us some money so we can tell everyone that immigrants are coming for their jobs for the next 9 months so that they think it's a problem. Boosting their finances by millions of euros before crucial European Parliament elections next week. With the polls predicting a rise in support for hard-line conservative, Eurosceptic, and pro-Russia parties, I wonder where all that money's coming from. The Guardian and other 26 media partners, led by the investigative group Follow the Money, are publishing Transparency Gap, the most extensive analysis of political financing in the EU. Actually, let me load this whole article because I think there is some graphs I want to look at. The data was gathered from the annual reports of more than 200 parties across 25 countries. It shows 150 million euros, the equivalent of €1 in every 4 euros of all private donations made between 2019 and 2022 went to populist parties, and those with the most extreme political views. Far-right groups have pulled in more than 97 million euros, equivalent to €1 in every 7 euro of private money. So if you spend €1 to help a far-right party, there's some rich person giving them 7 euros, I guess. Nearly a quarter of political donations in Europe went to the far left, far right, and populist parties in 2022. We have a graph here with, in Greece, it being a majority, basically 75% of all money donated went to far left and far left populist parties. Whereas in Hungary, you have the opposite, where most of it is going to far right populist, almost primarily far right populist, 50%. Poland, also a lot of far right populist movements. Portugal is getting mostly just far right, far left, no populist. Italy, a lot of far right populist. Slovenia, another far right populist. Belgium, these are about 50%. We're under 50% now on the graph. But Belgium has a lot of far left. In France, a lot, 36% of non-public funding was going to far right parties, far right populist parties, mind you, which does have a rise in far right movements recently. It gets really low after then. You know, Latvia, interesting, just in general, is giving to populist movements in general. They have a huge majority of their private donations going to populist. And then it's kind of just spread, populism. Netherlands has a lot of far left populist, actually, which is really interesting, seeing as people keep arguing that there's a far right increase in the Netherlands. But Cyprus is almost primarily, actually 100% of all its private donations are far left populist, so that's interesting as well. And Ireland's all populism. The project used the same party classification as the research group, the Populist. Get it? Haha, it's capital L as in the Populist, which defines those on the far right as having nationalist and authoritarian ideology. While most countries oblige parties to declare their total income from private and public sources, rules vary widely, and financing in some member states is a black box. 3/4 publish no information or only partial data on who the individuals or businesses are behind the donations. The transparency gap exists even when parties are following their country's rules. The research found no signs of wrongdoing, but a major study commissioned by the European Parliament into political party funding concluded that a lack of transparency can lead to corruption risks. That's true. If you're not telling people what's going on, you can just do whatever you want with the money. Oh, those donations to the party? Oh, I lost the money. I think I accidentally put it into a IRA account, and it's gonna make me millions in a couple years, you know? Like in 30 years it's gonna be $1 billion. Whoops, I lost the money. So you gotta report it. Don't if there's a party not reporting their funding, be very, very wary, and probably don't donate to them. While all EU member states have adopted regulations regarding the reporting and public disclosure of donation, what must be reported and what must be disclosed vary substantially. There's often a striking discrepancy between low reporting and high disclosure thresholds, and the average threshold of €2,400 carries potential corruption risks, the report stated. Oh, so the average amount of money people start reporting at is about €2,400. So, and you can still do a lot with that money, more than you think. Nothing forbids parties to publish more detailed information than required by law, said Fernando Casal Berrota, an expert on European political parties and systems and an associate professor in comparative politics at Nottingham University. But almost nobody does. Parties are not interested in transparency. They think that is going to limit them, he said. Yeah, I mean, it's so weird that political parties are like, let's not tell everyone what we're doing. They might not like us. I'm like, I mean, why would you lie to the people you want to vote for you? That just means you're not selling a good thing to them. So maybe your party sucks. That's how it goes. When other forms of funding are included, specifically membership and donations made by parties' own politicals or officials, hardline populist parties capture 1/5 of money raised between 2019 and 2022, amounting to almost 500 million euros, the data shows. For far-right parties, the sum was close to 200 million euros, 1 in every 11 euros. So there's also internal money raising that they don't involve. In France, I think that's why you get rich people to join your party as official members, and then they can donate as much money as they want to your far-right populist party. In France, 3 parties on the extremes of the political spectrum, Reconquête, Marine Le Pen's party National Rally on the right, and La France Insoumise on the left, have experienced dramatic rises in financial support. Especially if you look at the graph where, yet again, almost all of their money raised, 36%, is going to far-right populism. These parties took just 13% of non-public money raised in France in 2019, but their share reached 38% in 2022, when Emmanuel Macron faced Le Pen in a runoff for the presidency. Non-public funding includes money from donors, fees from members, and contributions from parties' own candidates and officials. Excludes state funding, loans from donors, and other income such as profits from fundraising events, merchandise, and real estate holdings. In Latvia, which is expected to experience a sharp increase in anti-European and populist MEPs next month, non-public funding to these parties has risen from 9% to 36% in 4 years, mainly driven by populist center-right Latvia's First Party. The analysis shows that, when combined, far-right, far-left, and populist parties are attracting more than half of the non-public funding in Slovenia, Italy, Poland, Hungary, Portugal, and Greece. Greece being the worst of all of these, at almost 75% of non-public funding going into far left and far left populist movements.
Which one is it?
Hungary's ruling Fidesz party, which has held power for 14 years, yet again, totally not suspicious at all and normal, and has overseen a reduction in the amount of state funding, took 55% of all non-public money in 2022. Polling suggests nationalist and far-right parties are on track to finish first in Hungary and 8 other EU states, including Austria, France, Italy, the Netherlands, and Poland. At a far-right rally in Madrid earlier this month, the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán delivered a video message calling for patriots to occupy Brussels, saying legislators there were responsible for unleashing massive illegal migration and poisoning our children with gender propaganda. This guy has a totally working brain, and he's not just getting your emotions riled up so that you keep voting for him. Orbán is the only person who can save Hungary. No one else knows about the illegal migration but him. Don't you think it's suspicious that he's the only one who's talking about this illegal migration? Anyways, in Poland, a close ally of Fidesz, the far-right Law and Justice Party presided over by Mateusz Morawiecki, which was the ruling party until April this year, took 44% of share of all non-public funding in 2022. Wow. In Italy, 4 populist parties, including Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy and Matteo Salvini's League, both of them to the right of the political spectrum, along with Forza Italia and Five Star Movement, secured 55% of non-public funding in 2022, the data shows. In some countries, far-left parties have a large slice. The Communist Party of Greece takes more than half of the country's non-public funding, while its Portuguese counterpart, the Partido Comunista Português, is over 50% of the total. In most countries, money from the state is now the most important income stream, with non-public money representing less than a quarter of available funding in Spain, Hungary, and Portugal, and just about 15% Ireland and Belgium. In other nations, where private money dominates, state contributions are still significant. For example, in Germany and the Netherlands, public funding represented about 45% of the money political parties receive in 2022. After a landmark decision by Germany's Federal Constitutional Court in 1992, allocation of public funds to political parties is based on their rootedness in society. This means that political parties that will always have to seek the support of the public, the German authorities have said. So why is there a rise in far-right parties in the past couple of years? It may be due to the large majority of private funding from members who also have far-right beliefs and also would like to help their party rise higher in the ranks. But that's just a theory, because you can't corroborate. It's just an interesting correlation, but it does not mean causation. But I think it's not unfair to assume as much. So, but I'm just in denial that Europe is this anti-immigration. I just can't believe it for the sake of me that an organization of 27 states is against migration is just, hello? You have an open border system, and you joined the EU some of these countries back in the 70s, you know? And suddenly it's a big deal that borders are open. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. That's my long story, my long expose. Well, not my expose, but... And I guess we'll move on to our 13 segment, right?
Sorry, I was coughing.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, man. Really curious that leads into this story, which is about countries losing population. When you're talking about immigration, the number one reason, of course, for countries losing population is birth rate. And what does birth rate do? It lowers your potential working force. So, as people retire and are not replaced in the workforce, you have a slower economy. So what do you need to improve that? Immigration, maybe, huh?
Yep.
And an interesting fact about my new Thursday 13 list. None of these countries, there's 13 on this list, and I looked through the list. There's a list of over 200 countries here on this website. It's called Live Population Count 2024. And interestingly, did you know there's 161 countries with over 1 million people?
Really?
But,
wow.
Yeah, the interesting fact about this, the countries that are losing population are all in Europe and Asia. No other countries are losing population. Nobody in South America, nobody in Africa, nobody in Australia, right? It's Asia and Europe are the countries that are losing population. So let's go to their list. The top of the list, let's get this crap off screen so I can see what I'm doing. All right, top of my list, 13 big countries that are losing population. There's a lot of small countries are like, the smallest country on this list is, on the big list of countries, is the Vatican City with a population of 524.
Yeah.
That's an actual country. Sense. 524 people. Well, today, 524. Maybe tomorrow, 525, 523. Anyway, 13 big countries. And of course, the number one country, which is number 2 in population in the world, is China. China, with over 1 billion people, is losing people rapidly. Like rapidly. If you look at this World Population 2024, it's a live update YouTube channel. China just clicking away in red as they lose population. The number 2 or number 9 in population in the world, also losing population, Russia. The number 9 in population in the world, losing population. Who's number 3 in population in the world, of course, is the United States, and we're gaining population because, we have immigrated. Russia's reason for depopulation is probably several, right? They're at war.
Yes.
Which is strange because Ukraine is gaining. I checked Ukraine. It's real easy to check who's gaining population. You just zoom back to the beginning of the video on world population. look at the number for Ukraine, and then go to the end and see if the end they're gaining population. Is actually pretty easy, right? Ukraine's gaining population while Russia is losing population, which is fascinating. Number 12 is Japan, because we're going to see a lot of Asian countries creeping into this list. Japan losing population, low birth rate. They're not currently at war. Slow birth rate. Italy losing population. The old people are dying. And they're not being replaced by young people. So all you countries that are looking for get rid of immigration, who's going to work on your jobs?
Yep.
Who's going to work those jobs that nobody wants to do? Who's going to work those entry-level jobs? Now. You don't have 18-year-olds for the draft either. This is a problem in the United States, too. Military, nobody wants to join the military. You have to get more and more immigrants to join the military. What a great way to earn your citizenship. Join the military. I think everybody should join the military. I could do this story tomorrow, but the UK is going to institute conscription. And I'm like, hell yeah. Get them off their asses. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a kick in the ass. I needed one.
And I'd be a terrible soldier. I don't listen to anybody tell me what to do.
Has nothing to. Well, that's
I
what
would be constantly getting
you're
punished.
going. Everybody says that. Yep. Don't worry. They'll straighten you out. Anyway, Italy losing population, and right below them in 29th in population in the world, but losing population is South Korea. This is a highly developed economy where people are planning their lives and probably getting more and more expensive to have children. If you know anything about developed economies, they tend to be more expensive places to live.
Also, famously, Korea and Japan, which I'm sure is on the list, right? Yeah.
Yep, this number right there, Japan.
They have terrible work culture that does not make you want to continue living. So
that's kind of,
why would you have
United
children?
States is inheriting that.
You don't have time. You don't have time to have children because that would require you to stop working, and you can't do that.
What? Stop working? Not get my 9 degrees that I'm never going to use? Also, Spain losing population. We've discussed this quite a bit, actually. Spain, the population tumbling. They are the 32nd most popular country. These numbers over here are the numbers where they're ranked in the population. And number 37, Poland losing population. So again, I don't know if that's low birth rate in Poland, but it could be. Imagine all these Catholic countries having low birth rate. What the hell's up with that, right? Spain's a Catholic country. Italy's a Catholic country.
Which, I'm not an expert on Poland, but famously Poland was the immigrant population that caused Brexit to happen. So perhaps a lot of people who live in Poland actually are leaving Poland to go live somewhere else. So that might also be why their population is
So I would say
dropping.
China's big on birth control. Probably Russia, probably big on birth control. Japan, probably big on birth control. South Korea, probably big on birth control. I would think Italy, Spain, and Poland, very Catholic, would be like, no abortions, no birth control. But their population
Poland was
is
saying that,
falling.
I think, so, yeah.
Romania, dropping in population.
Also,
I don't have I'm not an expert. Very wild country.
Christian.
We did a story on We did a story about wild buffaloes there last week on that. Greece also losing population. No surprise there, actually. Greece is one of them poorest economies in Europe, in the European Union. They're always having the rest of them cover their back. And then maybe they'll recover with tourism and whatnot. Greece has a lot going for it. But the population is going down. Also going down in Portugal, right next to Spain. Their population is going down. They're 94th ranked countries. They're dropping out of the top 100 now. We get to 106, Serbia. Is it any surprise Serbia is losing population? Probably not. Probably not. And Bulgaria. Again, all these countries are either in Asia or Europe, or in Russia's case, both.
Yep.
And the 124th and last on our list, these are not the only 13 losing population. These are just the top, the highest population countries losing population, Lebanon, which again, is perpetually unstable. Losing population.
Yep.
And countries like, surprisingly, I looked it up, Palestine, not losing population. Which you would think, wow, Palestine probably losing population. Nope, they're actually growing.
Can't stop a country that knows it should exist.
So all you people out there losing population, you're doing good work, I guess, because you're crushing the what is it, the what they call the human bomb or the people bomb or whatever they used to call it. But again, you're not really decreasing population worldwide. If you look at that website, the YouTube channel about population growth, you will see population constantly. There's a big world counter going up, and that sucker just spinning away. So yeah.
But also
the population of the world isn't going down.
But also the argument that world population causes any of our societal problems is a huge fallacy. The rising population doesn't really cause, environmental pressures, and that's as we should know already is about 50 corporations are doing all the bad stuff. It's not people having children who are causing all the climate change and all the, immigration issues. That's all
it's
societal.
Not a direct cause.
It's a system. It's hard to change a system. So that's just the system.
It's not a direct cause. It's not a direct cause, but what it does happen if you have too many people are uneducated, well, it doesn't really help. You just get more stupid people, Anyway.
Well,
there's your story in a population. Yeah. All right, back to you.
But I just want to also add that, of course, I say this all the time, that I remember when I got in an argument with somebody, I think it was in my Twitch chat, I said Europe has a falling population, and this person was like, no, they don't. They don't have a falling population. Actually, their population is going up. And of course, I'm saying Europe in general, which, as we saw, there's a majority of countries on that list were European.
Not the majority.
So,
actually, Europe does not have a dwindling population. I'm not saying every country in Europe
has a falling population, but a majority of them do, which explains why a lot of those, as we already said, right, a lot of those countries are like, oh, immigrants, they're coming. And funnily enough, I saw a video by the Anime Man, or Joey Bazinger, who is half Japanese, half Australian, and he's lived in Japan, I think, for 20 years now. And he does a little news segments about it, and he said that according to a report, at least, it was a really high number, like 25%. No, sorry, there's 10 million immigrants living now in Japan, who has a population of 215, at least in the most recent numbers.
Europe's population
so it's not a lot of people,
is declining.
Right? 10 million immigrants isn't a lot of people, but it's enough that people in Japan are freaking out about it. Oh no, there's 10 million immigrants in our country. And I think even Joey says, well, I mean, you guys aren't having children, so people are going to come here and have their own children for you. And at some point, Japan is going to have to stop being so xenophobic. A lot of these countries are going to have to stop being so xenophobic, because at the end of the day, you're going to need humans, not specific humans, to be doing your labor.
On to your point about Europe losing population, they are losing population.
I know.
At the beginning of this video, 741,701,054 people. At the end of this video, they went down to 741,321. So from the beginning of this video to the end, let's see. This go. Went from 701 down 22 to 700 something. So lost about 700 people just during this video YouTube thing.
Yeah, like I said,
playing out. So yeah, Europe is usually losing population. Asia, as they call it, Oceania, might be losing. I don't know. No, it's not losing population. Asia is definitely not losing population, because you have India, and India is just clicking away. So Asia's not losing population. Africa's not. Latin America is not. North America is not. Oceania is not. But Europe, as a continent, if you include the countries on this list, are losing population daily. Yeah. So
but yeah, the commenter was in denial. The chatter was in denial. I was like, okay, well, go look it up, dude. I'm not a scientist, but I can read numbers. Anyways, enough about this.
Especially if you consider Russia part of Europe.
Enough about this, because we're going to talk about it for 2 hours if we keep talking about it.
Right.
Let's talk about some tiny news, some tiny good news coming out of Mexico. This is going to be a very short article from Euronews Culture. A small restaurant in Mexico, measuring just 3 square meters, has been granted the first ever Michelin star, breaking records for being the only taco shop among 18 Mexican businesses to win the prestigious prize. A taco shop in Mexico City has become the first to win a Michelin star. El Califa de Leon is the only taco shop among 18 restaurants to earn the covered stars after the esteemed guide included Mexico for the first time. Wait a minute, you're telling me Mexico wasn't in the Michelin program until now? Mexican food is the best. I'm biased, but I will say it.
Well, you've had American Mexican food, so.
I can't believe this.
Mexican food in Mexico City is nothing like American Mexican food. Yeah.
Although Michelin represents his business head chef Arturo Rivera Martinez to hand over one of the company's heavy, fully sleeved, pristine white chef jackets, he didn't put it on. From his tiny 3-meter square kitchen, newly minted Michelin star chef Rivera Martinez has been doing the exact same thing for the past 20 years, searing meat. Mexico City's Tacos El Califa de Leon, there are only 4 things on the menu. All 4 are beef tacos with meat coming from a cow's rib, loin, or shank. The chief claims that the restaurant's key success is the quality of the ingredients. There is no secret. There is nothing special. The secret is the quality of the taco, the meat, the tortilla, everything. There is no secret, Rivera Martinez says. Other than perhaps one street food stand in Bangkok, Thailand, El Califa de Leon is likely the smallest restaurant ever to get a Michelin star. The prices are quite high by Mexican standards, with a single taco costing nearly $5, or 4.6 euros. But that doesn't stop the taco shop from being packed with standing customers and clutching plastic plates and ladling salsa. One of its many regulars, Jose Castaneda, is convinced it's the best in the city. Well, now it is the best in the city, according to the Michelin, at least. I am from Mexico City. I know a lot of taquitos, and this one is very good. The flavor and the service are incredible, Castaneda says. The most loyal customer base for El Califa de Leon originally came from politicians of the old ruling Institutional Revolution Party, or PRI, whose headquarters is 5 blocks away. After the party lost the presidency in 2018 and went into a steady decline, and now it's rare to see anyone in a suit at the taqueria. But that is not the only change foreseeable. Despite El Califa de Leon cooking the same thing with its traditional technique since 1968, the taco shop owner reveals that this award will push them to be more innovative. It was our turn to be awarded, not to be recognized with such an important international award, and we are more than committed because from now on, with this award, it drives us every day to be more competitive, more original, and to be competitive in all aspects, Mario Hernandez Alonso said. So congratulations, the first taco stand to get a Michelin star. And I guess check it out if you ever find yourself in Mexico, but I'm sure you'll be standing in line for a while now that they've been announced to the world that they're the best tacos in Mexico City. I used to always joke that I would open up a taco stand here in the Netherlands because, you know, more people need to experience Mexican food. But then a lot of the food here is quite bland and not spicy, so it would just make me sad.
Yeah. You can start them off with the mild stuff.
There are people who like spicy food here, especially, you know, people of the more brown persuasion from Suriname, Indonesia, and Morocco, and Turkey, but they're not the large population. They're not the largest section of population.
You just got to get them hooked on it, that's all.
Got to get hooked on those tacos and Cheetos and Yeah.
Guacamole.
Well, they have plenty of guacamole here. Not real. Oh, well, not
really?
to my standard, but yeah. Well, they
How
love
do you have
avocados here, but they eat
guacamole
the
with no-
avocados raw like apples.
What do they
which
put
I
it
love
on?
eating avocados raw too, but I mean they eat them when they're still hard and crunchy, and I'm like, ugh! Why would you eat a crunchy avocado? I wait until that stuff is squishy like a berry, and then I eat it. You know? Why would I?
I think it'll make you sick. I think it'll just make you sick if you eat it.
Crazy to me that people are eating fresh.
I don't think your body can
right
digest
off the
it.
Freaking bow.
I know if you eat unripe apples, they will give you the runs. So I imagine it's true for just about everything. Your body can't handle it, so it shoots it out. All right. Well, this ain't history, I guess.
Yep.
We're on to that part.
I do have the mic drop, by the way.
Oh, you do have it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Started at about 2:03. That's when they actually start playing. In 1381, an unpopular poll tax helped spark the Peasants' Revolt, the first great popular rebellion in English history. What an awesome revolt that was. They just started chopping up rich people. Awesome. Anyway, my little weird fantasies. Okay, 1806. And this day, Andrew Jackson, who later served as President of the United States, fatally shot Charles Dickinson in a duel during his life. Jackson was involved in numerous duels. Some accounts estimate 100, and many of them were in defense of his wife, Rachel. Rachel must have been quite a piece of work. All right, I have to shoot another guy because of you. Anyway, 1814, the first of the treaties of Paris was signed, ending the Napoleonic Wars. On this day, Napoleonic Wars finally ended. Actually, I'm pretty sure they ended in 1815, but I'm not sure why this treaty would be signed in 1814, but hey, I'm confused. 1854, the Kansas-Nebraska Act was passed, providing the territorial organization of Kansas and Nebraska under the principle of popular sovereignty, which gave people in those areas the right to decide whether slavery would be permitted in their territory. Oh, one of the most cowardly things Congress ever did, and there's a big list. This is just another one, another cowardly thing, deciding not to decide anything. In 1909, that's why we had a Civil War, because these idiots could not go, oh, let's just compromise. Here's something nobody will be happy with. 1909, American jazz musician and band leader Benny Goodman, who was known as the king of swing. If he was born as the king of swing, that would be something. Who was known as the king of swing was born. He was Benny Goodman, a clarinet player. 1911, the first United Indianapolis 500 automobile race was run in Indianapolis, Indiana on this date, and it was won by Roy Haroun in about 6 hours and 42 minutes. Boy, they had different looking cars in 1911. I'll tell you that much. Open wheels, right? Open wheels, outdoor, your head, everything is outdoors, and you're wearing goggles, right?
Yeah.
So, and I guess a helmet. But yeah, man, if you get in a wreck, you're dead. 6 hours to go 500 miles, it's not even 100 miles an hour. Think about that. Of course, they have pit stops, but still. 1922, the Lincoln Memorial honoring Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was dedicated in Washington, D.C. on this day. So the Lincoln Memorial was dedicated 102 years ago. 1925, in the May 13th incident, the May 30th incident. Why would it be called the May 13th incident? I have no idea. The May 30th incident, have 13 on the mind. Some 12 labor demonstrators were killed by British police in Shanghai, sparking nationwide strikes and protests in China. Yeah, British just shooting people. That was smart. 1942, during World War II, the British Royal Air Force dispatched more than 1,000 bombers against Cologne, Germany. 1,000 bombers on this day in 1942. Basically, at that point, Germany was still winning the war. 1961, Rafael Trujillo, an army officer who had become dictator of the Dominican Republic, following a military revolt in 1930, was assassinated. Sucks for him. 1961, Rafael Trujillo assassinated. 2012, Charles Taylor, the former president of Liberia, was sentenced to 50 years in prison after being convicted of crimes against humanity and war crimes that were committed during Sierra Leone's war. See, we can send former presidents to prison. There's one. There's your perfect example. Former presidents going to prison in Liberia. They can do it. We can do it. Our featured event this day on May 30th, 1431, Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. Yep, this is what they did in the old days. She's a witch! She's a witch! Having led the French army in momentous victory in England at Orleans during the 100 Years' War, Joan of Arc was charged with heresy and witchcraft. And on this day, in 1431, was burned at the stake because people are fucking morons. And that's pretty much a theme in history. People are fucking morons. There's no hope for humanity. There never really was. We are fooling ourselves. All right. Feature biography, Countee Cullen, American poet, born May 30th, 1903 in Louisville, Kentucky. He's an African-American poet, I can tell by his picture. Died on January 9th, 1946 at the age of 42 in New York City. Did not live a long life. Other birthdays today besides Benny Goodman, it's Helen Sharman, British chemist and astronaut, who was born in 1963. So she's turning on my age. CeeLo Green, the FU guy, American singer, rapper, and songwriter, born in 1974. It's his birthday. It's Marissa Mayer. It's an American software engineer and businesswoman. It's her birthday, born in 1975. And Steven Gerrard, English football player, born in 1980. Okay, there you go. That's today's birthdays. And what day is it today? It is National Water a Flower Day. So yes, if you got flowers and it's not raining, or if you're indoors, water them, which you probably do. But it's National Hole in My Bucket Day, which recognizes that old song.
Hole in my bucket.
That's right. My bucket's got a hole in it. My bucket's got a hole in it, or as they call it here, the bucket song, or some people have called it, There's a Hole in My Bucket. But the versions I've heard is just simply called My Bucket's Got a Hole in It. This song, which has its origins in 1700 Germany, is about a back and forth conversation between Henry and Lisa. Henry needs to fix his leaky bucket. In each stanza, Henry asks Lisa for advice. In the end, he needs a bucket to carry water to repair. He needs a bucket to carry water to repair his bucket. And then it gives you advice on how to make different things with a bucket with a hole in it. Okay, that's interesting. Other days it is today. We get back to the main page. It is National Mint Julep Day, which is probably should be during the Kentucky Derby, because that's the drink that they drink. Mint julep is some kind of rum drink. I don't know. I'm not a big alcoholic. It's Loomis Day. It is Loomis Day, named after the man who invented radio telegraphy. He invented radio telegraphy before Marconi, and Marconi gets all the credit. It's actual National Creativity Day. So going along with the guy who invented national telegraphy and the guy who invented the mint julep, or the lady who invented mint julep, it's National Creativity Day. And the guy who invented radio telegraphy is Mahlon Loomis, received the patent number 129791, titled An Improvement on Telegraphing and Wireless Telegraphy, in July of 1872, beating Guillermo Marconi's United Kingdom patent by nearly 25 years. So radio telegraphy was invented on May 30th by, actually, I'm not exactly sure, but we're recognizing it today. We're recognizing Mahlon Loomis. Made it a lot easier to communicate. Just think of how we're communicating now. No wires, just all through
no wires.
Like magic.
Yeah, that's true.
All through the magic of radio telegraphy. That's what we're using now, folks. Little bits of data. Nothing analog about this. So back to you. Those are our stories for today, May 30th, 2020. May 30th, 2024 on Before Mint Juleps.
Amazing.
I don't know what a mint julep
This
is.
has been Allison here from the Netherlands, who is going to not help with the population program, the population problem, because I don't want to have children. So I guess I'm part of the problem.
What are you talking about? You're an immigrant. You're an immigrant. You're an immigrant. It's already too late.
I'm here
You've
trying
already
to work
immigrated
in
to
the
a
industry,
country.
but they have to hire me first. We will
Too
see
late,
you
you're an
tomorrow
immigrant.
for
You've
the
already
Friday
boosted
news
the
dump.
population.
Reminder, if there are any stories we have not talked about this week that happened in the last week or this week, please comment down below or contact us on any social media you can find us on, and we will talk about it on Friday. Makes our job easier because then we don't have to look up any news stories. So if there's anything you want to see us talk about, go ahead and let us know. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're trying to get that subscriber number up to 500. And of course, turn on those notifications so you can get notified when we go live or when we post a video. Have a good one. Have a good Thursday. It's almost Friday. You got this. And take care out there. Here is your mic drop moment.
Yeah.
Standing on the corner with a bucket in my hand, just looking for a woman that ain't got no man, 'cause my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. It won't hold no beer. Well, there ain't no use of me looking so hard, 'cause I got a woman in the box man's yard, 'cause my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Well, hold no beer. Oh, yeah. When I'm on the mountain, looking down to sea, I saw the crabs and the fishes doing the beep bop beep. Now me and my baby, I'm gonna be a fall. We've been shifting gears, man. I'm running more, 'cause my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Whoa, no beer. Let's go, yeah. Well, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Whoa, no beer. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Oh, no beer.
Chaps, do you mind tracking it? No, absolutely. Oh, no, bother it.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.